Welcome to HDTV. You're now rocking with your boy. Your 401k fees could cost you $500,000 in retirement. Ask anyone with a 401k plan at work what they pay in fees, and the answers may surprise you. Most people think they pay nothing at all. Even those who knows that's impossible undershoot by a surprisingly large margin, guessing about 1% in fees. The full truth is usually a shock. Many 401k savers pay north of 2% and some pay even more. If you own a small business and run a plan for your own employees, it's important to understand what you get for that money. Even more important, as a business owner, you participate in the same plan at the same fee cost. The impact on your retirement is even harsher since owners usually set aside larger amounts to invest in order to take advantage of tax deferral. So, how much do you pay, and what does 1% even mean? Here's a hint: it's much more in dollars than you think. Traditional 401k plans provide a number of different services to their participants, but it can be broken down into two basic categories: what you pay to invest and what you pay for the plan itself. Investment fees are usually the largest piece of the pie. Under the hood, you will find fees paid to the managers of the various stock and bond funds in which your money is invested. Those fees can range from a fraction of 1% to well over 1%, depending on the investment type, be that large company stocks, small company shares, foreign stocks, or fixed income products such as bond funds. What paying 1% means is that for every 100 you have invested, the funds take $1 each year to pay themselves. If a fund charges 0.30%, then it's 30 cents. Excuse me. If a fund charges 0.30%, then it's 30 cents. Scales that's up to $100,000, and we're talking about $1,000 a year. Now remember, that's a percentage of your balance, not a slice of your returns in any given year. If the stock market is flat, you still pay $1,000. That means your retirement portfolio declines in value even if the market returns zero. If the market declines, you pay less. Your balance is lower after all, but you still pay and your balance falls by even more regardless. Naturally, investment fund managers will argue that if you do well, we do well. But what they fail to mention is that if you do poorly, we still do okay, is also true. To invest this way, you would have to believe that the fund managers you hire are right more often than they are wrong, and thus earn their keep and then some. But the data doesn't back that up. Research shows that most of the time, typically 8 or 9 times out of 10, actively managed investment funds fail to beat their respective market benchmarks. Meanwhile, modern 401k plans help investors avoid costly active fund markup while delivering steadier returns year after year. We do this by owning the market through very low cost funds. The fees are a tiny fraction of that 1%, yet often outperform the majority of active managers year after year. The other 1%. But let's move on to the second part of the fee picture: running the plan itself. Operating a retirement plan is not a simple bookkeeping task. There are many rules around how these plans work, including facets such as custody and trading regulations. Rules that, if not followed diligently, can result in fines, penalties, and excise taxes, and even lawsuits. On top of that, someone has to oversee the flow of money from your employees' paychecks into the plan, provide relevant investment information and education, deal with features such as loans and withdrawals, and perform scheduled tax reporting. And that's where the other 1% goes in many 401k plans. The reason that so many small businesses pay such high 401k fees is because of a lack of true transparency, lack of innovation, and proliferation of unnecessarily high fees. A study by Brightscope found that the very cheapest 401k plans in the country are run by the largest employers, charging well under 1% for both investment and administration. Comparatively, most small business owners end up paying much more in fees, sometimes 2%, 3%, or worse per year. That second 1% fee hit is taken from each employee's balance each and every year. It has nothing to do with performance or value. It's just a cost, and it's a permanent feature of retirement plans no matter what the market does year to year. The scary part is that once assets are scalable, often they don't move to a cheaper platform. Instead, business owners let high fees silently eat into returns, resulting in fewer years that could be spent enjoying retirement. The risk is why the U.S. Department of Labor requires plan benchmarking every 3 years and in some cases annually. You don't know what you don't know. The results for many people in small business 401k plans is like running in sand. They are putting cash to work every pay period, but their returns can't seem to keep up with the market itself. It's hard to look at the educational and administrative component of a typical small business plan and say, well, that was worth $1,000 of my money. Most employees find 401k investment selections baffling. As a result, many employees fail to invest properly for their goals, and the majority essentially ignore their own plan for decades at their peril. Streamlining costs. Ideally, all of these costs should be right sized to reflect the true value to the employee and to the employer. Investment costs should be oriented toward maintaining money in investments, not draining it. Administrative costs should be streamlined, providing service but also useful guidance. Ultimately, the plan should work hard for its participants rather than the provider that happened to set up the plan. The good news is that market efficiencies have rapidly moved in this direction to the benefit of both employees and employers. Adding plan benchmarking to your annual review processes will ensure the fees you pay are fair and reasonable. Paying lower fees could be the difference that shaves months or even years off your retirement date. Why have a tropical destination as your Zoom meeting background when instead you could be there for real? So, basically, just wanted to give you a little insight on 401ks, your fees, and it could cost you, your dollars in retirement, and that's why you have to make sure you have an advisor and pay attention to what you're doing at your job. Me, I pay attention to my 401k fees as well as what I put in because I'm gonna have money on the side because I don't trust the retirement. I believe there's not going to be any more Social Security when I reach 60 some years old, and I believe there's damn sure not going to be no retirement fund for me. So you have to take those measures into your hands. If you have a business, they want to tax you higher on fees so they can eat. And those advisors, it's cool to have advisors, but also know what you're doing. So your advisors may try to take advantage of you. It's like if you take your car to get fixed. If a mechanic knows you don't know nothing about fixing cars, they could run game on you. They do this all the time. So make sure you know your fees, and if you have a small business, make sure you also have money you put to the side because you don't have to just put that in your 401k, put that to the side as well. So if your 401k crashes or anything happens, you still got money on the side. It's great to have an egg in each basket, not all your eggs in one basket, because if that basket get destroyed, you're going to basically be SOL. And all my old school people know what that means. Thank you for listening. We are out. Deezy.